What's up, co-reporters, and welcome back to my channel. Disgraced former Teen Mom OG star Ryan Edwards has evaded justice yet again after being charged with DUI, harassment, stalking, and drug-related charges as well. This man has managed to get out of prison after serving only about 2 months of his 11-month sentence. It's crazy. The judge is saying that this man should be sent to rehab to complete a 2-month stint in there, I believe it is, and then have 2 years of outpatient treatment as well in order to help him with his addiction issues. Which, listen, I do agree that he needs help with his addiction issues, but I wish that they could have been dealt with after he served his prison term, because he did a lot of really, really bad things, like destroying, and I mean destroying in caps lock, the home that his children sleep in and his ex-wife sleeps in. Like, the fact that someone could do this to a home that belongs to his children, right? All these threats and just harassing messages on the wall and everything, after already having his a restraining order against the woman, is wild. He violated that restraining order a couple of times. Mackenzie testified about him climbing on top of her and threatening violence and whatnot, breaking the bed, etc., etc. It's wild. Here's a photo of Mackenzie in court. She was there for the hearing. So she's flipping off the photographer for the Sun who was capturing photographs of her there. Ryan's family was also present, which I will show you in a little bit. One thing I just want to say, out of pure, complete, and utter disgust for this ruling, is that Ryan Edwards they've attempted to save him with rehab how many times? I think this guy has already been in rehab 3 times. This is going to be his 4th stint. He's always leaving early. Nothing happens when they send him to rehab. So the fact that he can just continue to get worse and worse, scarier and scarier, and they keep on throwing this at him, this, like, what do you call it? This lifeline, is absolutely ridiculous. Listen, nothing's going to change. He's going to come out of rehab and he's still going to go on to do some horrible things. And guess what? He will be sentenced to rehab time and time again, even though every time the judge says and swears that this is a last chance we're giving you, Ryan, last chance, and then we're really throwing the book at you. And then guess what? They never actually do. Anyway, let's get into the article from the Sun about this entire ordeal. They were there in the courtroom watching all of this go down. So here's Ryan and Mackenzie in the courtroom. And they said that he was initially sentenced to 11 months and 29 days. So basically a year. Now look at his aunt smiling like this is the most exciting, happy time, so inappropriate. Then you've got his father, Larry, there, his mom, Jen. So according to the Sun court reporter, Larry seemed really nervous. He was like shaking his leg. Like when you shake your leg like crazy when you're super anxious about something? That was his demeanor there. Jen, meanwhile, she kept a pretty straight poker face, according to them. And I don't know if the aunt was cheesing like this the whole time or not. But if Ryan Edwards was my nephew, I would not be smiling. I don't think I'd smile another day in my life, to be honest with you. Like, what the F? So now, the hearing, by the way, was for his charges of harassment and possession of a controlled substance from his February 10th arrest. And then don't forget, he was driving under the influence and caught with the controlled substances in April 7th. So this is when he fell asleep behind the wheel with the car on drive, and he had paraphernalia and whatnot like on him. So all of this, you could do all of this and then only serve a 2-month sentence. That is wild to me. There are people serving way more for doing way less. Let me go back to the picture of the state in which this vile creature left his children's home in. Like, fridge destroyed down to the ground, tables, all the light fixtures, everything. The fact that he could do this, he could go drive under the influence, right? Endanger all sorts of people, pass out behind the wheel, have all this stuff on him, break a restraining order that his estranged wife had against him and everything. He could break it multiple times, threaten to end her and everything, and they still save him. I keep saying the judge is, I'm sorry, but I don't want to listen. I want a different judge on Ryan's case, because guess what? One day Ryan is not going to be able to make it back from, the drugs. Or one day someone else is not going to be able to make it back from what it is that he does to them, right? Maybe it's Mackenzie, maybe it's the next victim of his. And it's going to be this judge's fault for continuously coddling this psycho. I feel sick, almost as sick as when I saw this scene when he was getting married to Mackenzie. Okay. That's how you know I feel sick. So, anyway, let's continue on with this article, shall we? So the U.S. Senate is saying that they can exclusively reveal that Ryan will be released from prison. Blah blah blah. We already know that. They said that he has submitted into evidence 200 pages of medical records that are disturbing. Wow, honestly, 200 pages of medical records is quite wild. I think my medical records are probably like 10 pages or something like that. I'm just like the most. I only do like my annual, and that's about it. But wow, 200 pages is a lot. Okay. And I don't doubt that it's disturbing. Just look at the stuff that he's doing. You don't do these sorts of things, right? If you are not disturbed on some level. So the judge said that Ryan is going to need help with some underlining things. The understatement of the century. And the rehab person, representative, said that they're going to be making some sort of treatment plan for Ryan where he can go to the Oasis, the halfway house, live there, and then he's going to be getting an injection that's supposed to help taper off his addiction. Mind you, he's supposed to be starting there on the 18th, I believe it is. So it's like next week. It's going to be quite soon. So that's wild. The judge is saying that he's going to have to get hair follicle tested to make sure that he's clean before he takes the shot. And hopefully they are testing this man every other day. It's just hair. You could pull it out. It's not like they're pricking him with needles or anything like that, just make sure you are on him like white on rice. I am so sick of this guy getting sentenced to rehab, leaving early, and then just running amok in these streets. So, like I said, inpatient rehab will be about 28 days, but I don't understand why this is happening in lieu of the prison time. Let him finish with the prison time, then put him in rehab because he does need to pay for what it is that he did to Mackenzie, to his children, and the potential danger that he put society in. Right. Now, we had been mentioning the restraining order and whatnot that Mackenzie had against Ryan that prevented him from contacting her or contacting anyone close to her to try to get through to her. Well, that got lifted, partially anyway, because they do share children together, Jagger and Stella. And Mackenzie mentioned the fact that their children have been asking about him and whatnot. So she did consent to the restraining order being partially lifted, so that she is able to serve as a mediator between him and the kids. The kids are going to be calling the collect call at the halfway house or the prison or whatever, right? Asking for him, and she's going to be the one handling those phone calls just to make sure that everything's okay. So kudos to Mackenzie for handling that. I know it's not going to be easy. It definitely can't be easy dealing with someone like this who did such horrible, terrible, like disgusting things to you, watching them skate by time and time again, evade the justice system, evade justice. But it is what it is. This is what happens when you are stuck co-parenting with a psycho, right? So the prosecution said that Mackenzie understands that it's important for the kids to communicate through him, and they ask about him, as I just mentioned. And the judge did try to issue another warning, but these warnings are BS because he issues them every single time, and then every single time there is no real ultimate punishment. It's just more and more rehab, not real tough actual prison time. So let's get into some of this hot air that Judge Starnes was spewing in the courtroom, shall we? This is a direct quote from the Sun's website saying, and I quote, "We'll give you a furlough. It's time for you to go to the program. It's your last chance to do this. Sure, Jan. You need to do what you can. If you violate rehab, if you leave, you'll be charged with escape and you will get consecutive sentences, whatever. You don't want to spend 2 to 3 years in custody if you can get treatment. Even then, 2 to 3 years for his like laundry list of crimes is way too lenient. Like I said, there are people doing more time for less crime. So I want to see Ryan punished a little bit harder than this. Well, actually much harder than this, to be honest with you. So like I mentioned earlier, he's supposed to head into rehab around the 18th of July, and then he is supposed to return to court on August 14th, which is going to be just under 1 month after he begins his inpatient rehab treatment. And voila, you guys, I guess we'll see how all of this actually ends up going. Like I said, I don't see it happening, right? I think he's too far gone. I do not see him fully completing the program, or if he does complete the program and manage to no longer serve any more prison time that he should be serving for his crimes and whatnot, I see him breaking the law again, either by going back to the powdered donuts, or by doing something like this again and harassing Mackenzie. You know, maybe sending her threatening text messages, sending her parents threatening text messages or something like that. Just, I do not see this man staying out of trouble. It's just not in him, right? He's been coddled far too much for far too long from birth, now by the judge, who, by the way, is a father of one of Ryan's close friends who was also at his wedding and whatnot. So just don't hold out hope. Do not hold out hope. This is a mess. To me, this is an insult to Mackenzie and to the general public in Tennessee as well. I believe it's Chattanooga where they're living. I don't think it's fair that he's coming out, but we'll see. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. Maybe he'll turn out to be an upstanding citizen after his 20th rehab stint this time around, right? Let me know what you think about all this, guys, in the comment section down below. And as usual, we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.